We have a big breaking update on the Covington story. The fight is not over. 8 Covington Catholic teens sue, quote, most egregious high-profile individuals for defamation. This is like Kathy Griffin, Maggie Haberman, high-profile journalists, people who refused to retract and apologize. Interestingly, though, the reason they may have refused is because it's kind of a lot of opinion. And it's going to be interesting. Now, for those that aren't following the story, the latest update is that Nicholas Sandmann had his case against the Washington Post, I believe it was the Washington Post, dismissed. And they argued it was because the Washington Post was pushing out opinions. The statements they published were hyperbole, rhetorical devices, and the opinions of Nathan Phillips, the Native American. So they didn't really have any ground to stand on. To me, all of this is extremely dangerous precedent. What this is saying is that if you have a large platform and lots of money, you are free to lie about anyone so long as you frame it in a very specific way. You could accuse Joe Biden, potentially, at least according to this ruling, you could accuse Joe Biden of, assaulting children. You know why? Well, assault, what does that really mean? And Joe Biden did touch kids and sniff them while they winced and grimaced. The videos exist. There's one photo of him kissing a little girl and someone else is shocked. I think that's fair to say, in my opinion, Joe Biden assaults children. Now, of course, I don't really think that. I think he's a creepy weirdo, but there's a big difference between saying he abuses kids and, some could actually argue that's the point. So the danger here is that big, powerful, multi-million-dollar institutions put out fake news about kids who did literally nothing. You know why this is scary? And I'm sorry if I'm getting... It's scary because these kids were just standing there minding their own business. They had no idea this was going to happen. They didn't do anything wrong. Someone else filmed them. Someone else lied about them, and it destroyed their lives. So let's read the news. But before we do, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work, because YouTube deranks independent political commentary. And I'm pushing back on the big mainstream media players, so you know what that means. They don't like me. What can I expect? But if you like me and you share this video, it will help the channels grow, and it'll help me continue doing what I do. Let's read the news. Lawyers for 8 Covington Catholic students, John Does 1 through 8, filed a defamation lawsuit on Thursday in Kentucky's Kenton County Circuit Court against 12 individuals. Lawmakers, journalists, media figures, and social media personalities included. Attorneys Robert Barnes, disclosure, Barnes has written columns for Law and Crime, and Kevin Murphy began the suit by going back to January 18th, 2019, when they say, quote, a field trip to our nation's capital for a group of minors from Covington, Kentucky, turned into a social media nightmare that changed their futures forever. This was when MAGA hat-wearing high school students, Nick Sandmann in particular, came face-to-face with a 65-year-old Native American man identified as Nathan Phillips. The lawsuit said that the defendants jumped to conclusions, painting the plaintiffs as racists, lying about an event they didn't witness firsthand, and libeling the minors. Note that these minors are bringing this lawsuit through their parents. Quote, several of our senators, most famous celebrities, and widely read journalists collectively used their large social media platforms, perceived higher credibility, and public followings to lie and libel minors they never met, based on an event they never witnessed, the lawsuit said. These defendants called for the kids to be named and shamed, doxxed, and expelled, and invited public retaliation against these minors from a small town in Kentucky. The defendants circulated false information about them to millions of people around the world. The video of the entire event, known to the defendants, exposed all of their factual claims against the kids as lies. The defendants were each individually offered the opportunity to correct, delete, and or apologize for their false statements, but each refused, continuing to circulate the false statements about these children to this very day on their social media platforms they personally control. The defendants have been named as follows. They say Law and Crime is not including a copy of the lawsuit, as to not publicize their addresses. They say Elizabeth Warren, Rep. Deb Haaland, Anna Navarro, Maggie Haberman of the New York Times, comedian Kathy Griffin, Matthew Dowd, Reza Aslan, Adam Edelin, Princeton University professor Kevin M. Cruz, activist and journalist Sean King, Mother Jones editor-in-chief Clara Jeffrey, and Rewire.news editor-in-chief Jody Jacobson. Law and Crime is in the process of reaching out to the defendants and will update with responses. Now, they say that there's, no comments for the most part. New York Times said Maggie Haberman wasn't served with a complaint. Quote, the plaintiffs repeatedly offered each defendant publicly the opportunity to retract, correct, or delete their offending and defamatory statements, but each refused, continuing to share their defamatory comments with the public to this very day, the lawsuit said. No individual plaintiff seeks damages from any defendant in excess of the cost of a 4-year tuition at the University of Kentucky. Plaintiffs file this complaint for neither fame nor fortune. They bring this suit to protect future families from experiencing the nightmare the defendants caused to these kids to experience. Barnes told Law and Crime, prominent politicians, press, and public personalities used their big social media platforms to form a digital lynch mob against a bunch of kids they never knew from an event they didn't witness. He said that although most retracted, deleted, and corrected their statements, a few refused long after afforded a chance to do so. Here was an example of an apology made and accepted. S.E. Cupp of CNN, I believe, said, "Hey guys, seeing all the additional videos now, I 100% regret reacting too quickly to the Covington story. I wish I'd had the fuller picture before weighing in, and I'm truly sorry." Barnes said, "Good apology, more needed, don't want to get sued, retract, correct, do it now." Quote, "That is why we filed suit in Covington for these kids, so this won't happen to anyone else without legal consequence. I founded Free America Law Center, a free speech supporting legal organization for all to democratize and equalize access to the legal system for victims of big media, big tech, and rogue government actors. For cases just like this," Barnes added. "The first suit backed by Free America Law Center is the suit for the Covington boys. Legal remedy should not be limited to the left. We need free speech for a free America that does not privilege the powerful. That is what this suit and the Free America Law Center is all about," Barnes continued. Think about this for a second. Let me just pause here. These kids' lives will be forever damaged. To this day, people online are lying about them. There's nothing they can do about it. And these are big media players, prominent and powerful personalities who have privilege, I might say. Why can't we hold them accountable is the big question. They need to be. We cannot have a two-tiered system where if you have money, you can lie about whoever you want and damage and destroy their lives. Let's read on. Law and Crime asked Barnes how this lawsuit was different from the $250 million lawsuit against the Washington Post. Barnes said he believes the differences in this suit, suing individuals rather than institutions, means there is a greater chance of success. Kentucky law makes it more difficult to sue institutions than individuals in the context of libel law. Additionally, the major media institutions almost all issued corrections per my request, as defined under Kentucky law. Finally, we are only suing the most egregious high-profile individuals who inflicted the most harm and refused to issue corrections. The plaintiffs allege the defendants damaged them per se. What that means? A defamatory statement that is communicated in a fixed medium and is considered to be so harmful on its face that the plaintiff need not prove special damages. Examples of libel per se are statements that 1. Relate to the person's business or profession to the person's detriment. 2. Falsely claim that the person committed a crime or moral turpitude. 3. Imputes unchastity on the person. Or 4. Claim that the person suffers from a loathsome disease. The plaintiff said that the social media frenzy caused lasting damages. Does 1 through 8 were subjected to public hatred, contempt, scorn, obloquy, and shame. The conduct of the plaintiffs, based on the false facts the defendants placed and circulated into the court of public opinion, led to these lifetime labels on these minors. Quote, display of hate, disrespect, and intolerance, heartbreaking, decency decayed, racist, cried for America, infamous. Go, I'm not going to read every single one. There's a lot. They go on to say the kids were, they said they should be doxxed, named and shamed, expelled from school, denied admission to college, punched in the face, their bodies shredded, and their lives ruined. Plaintiffs have demanded a jury trial and judgment no less than $15,000, but no more than $50,000 against each of the named defendants. They seek compensation for costs, expenses, attorney's fees, as well as declaratory and equitable relief from the court. Below are images of tweets that were included as the exhibits in the lawsuit. Now, I want to point out, I'm not a lawyer, but some of these are opinions. Congresswoman Deb Haaland said, "This veteran put his life on the line for our country." Opinion. "The student's display of blatant hate, disrespect, and intolerance is a signal of how common decency has decayed under this administration. Heartbreaking." That's an opinion. She may have actually had the correct video and still felt that way. I don't know how they can win on that. They say, must watch Native American elder taunted by racist MAGA hat-wearing teens, speaks and cries for America, the country he defended and sacrificed and wore the uniform for. It is people like Nathan Phillips who make America great. That's an opinion, right? So here we have Shaun King saying that they were mocking and all that. It's weak and despicable. They surrounded and mocked a beloved elder, Native American. Again, it's an opinion. Even in the correct context, They could argue they saw that and that's their opinion. I don't know how you sue for that. There is something interesting though. Reza Aslan saying the kid's face is punchable is interesting. That's an opinion too, but it's close to an incitement for violence. I don't know how that'll work. Now here's where it gets important. A Native American Vietnam War veteran. Boom, right there. False statement of fact. He is not. She says was seen being harassed and mocked by a group of MAGA hat wearing teens. He's not a Vietnam War vet. So even if your opinion is these kids were mocking someone, they certainly weren't mocking a Vietnam War vet. That is a false statement of fact and may be actionable. I'm not sure though. Maggie Haberman said, there are dozens of students laughing and egging on the behavior. An opinion. But that may be a false statement of fact. You can't prove the kids were egging it on. Will be interesting to see if anyone is actually expelled, as officials suggest is possible. In the end, I think, Elizabeth Warren said Vietnam War veteran. He is not. False statement of fact. Endured hateful taunts with dignity and strength, then urge us to all do better. Kathy Griffin called for them to be doxxed, so she's in trouble. I'll just point this out, and I'll leave it here because you get it. There's the news. We'll see. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know for sure, but it's really hard to sue for defamation and libel in this country. This seems much more winnable. They're not asking for an arm and a leg. The $250 million against the Washington Post is exorbitant. This seems more reasonable. They're asking for $15,000 to $50,000 per person, and these are high-profile, wealthy, and prominent individuals who were given the opportunity to apologize, and they didn't. It all sounds very reasonable, so we'll see where it goes. But stick around. I got another segment coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you shortly.